Hello, folks. This is Joe from MIGeekScene.com. I am sitting here next to, do you prefer Joseph or do you prefer Joe?
I prefer Joe, please.
Joe Harvey, a man of many talents. Joe, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Not too bad. People might be wondering, why is he interviewing this guy? Well, this guy, like I mentioned earlier, is a man of many talents. He's a podcaster. He is a wrestling ring announcer for pro wrestling, indie leagues, which is awesome. And on top of that, he is running a series of events, fan fiction events, under the Nerdaissance umbrella. Joe, would you care to talk about Nerdaissance?
Certainly. The Nerdaissance was sort of a, you put it nicely. It's an umbrella name for really sort of anything I do. You know, it's kind of branding, similar to Chris Hardwick's The Nerdist. Where sort of everything he does from podcasting to everything gets put under that umbrella. And so it came out of my good buddy Dave Kish as a member of the Renaissance Guys performing troupe you'll see at the Michigan Ren Fair and a few other Renaissance fairs in the Midwest. And so when we sort of joined forces, we decided to call it the Nerdaissance, and kind of everything we do gets sort of put under the Nerdaissance Presents.
I do like that. So, your fan fiction events, would you care to elaborate on that?
Absolutely. It's kind of become my new favorite thing to do. I was never a fan fiction writer before I kind of got inspired by, coincidentally, a Nerdist podcast, the Competitive Erotic Fan Fiction podcast, where Brian Cook, who's a great stand-up comic, has other professional stand-up comics come up, and they some of them have pre-prepared pieces, and some of them get audience suggestions. And I thought, you know what? There's absolutely nothing like that here in the Midwest. At least not that I've seen. I mean, there might be, but I don't know about it. So
Not necessarily in Grand Rapids.
no, certainly not. And so I loved filling that void. I love finding the gaps, finding the voids that need to be filled, like culturally and event-wise. Going, yep, I'll be that guy. I'll do that. And so I thought, a comedic fan fiction night would be fantastic. This will be our upcoming show on May 29th. Will be our third show.
Yeah. Was the one I met you at, was that the second one?
That was our second one. That was at Dog Story Theater.
Yes. Last year, before I really started this website, I ended up meeting Joe in person because I went to a fan fiction event, and it was quite hilarious. I was just sitting there in the background just listening and just taking notes and whatnot, and I decided if this guy was going to do this for real, I'd like to talk to him down the road, and thus we are here. One of the stories that stood out to me, well, there was numerous ones, and I'll tell you this right now, folks. If you're going for kid-friendly events, this is not going to be it. This is strictly for adults, and not all the stuff on MIGeekScene is strictly for kids. It's all over, all under the umbrella of just like, let's put it this way. Boy, I'm going down in flames. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, there was a, I don't remember what product it was, but it said fun for kids aged 8 to 88. I don't even remember what product it was, but that always kind of, whenever I see something that really could appeal to anybody, kids, middle-aged people, young people, and old people alike, I always think of that. So MIGeekScene could be for anybody aged 8 to 88. You'll get nice, con pictures, like cosplay pictures, and you'll also get, become aware of shows like mine, which, as Joe pointed out, is very much for the adult nerds.
Yes. So MIGeekScene has basically a teen rating. No, I'm just kidding. It can go anywhere. One of the stories that stood out to me was your fan fiction. Well, you read it one on Quoth the Raven.
Yes. Dave Kish of the Renaissance Guys couldn't make it that evening, but he wrote such a wonderful adaptation. It was 50 Shades of the Raven, where it was sort of the Raven as told from the perspective of somebody who was being forced to read 50 Shades of Grey. and it was hilarious. But mine, shall I tell him?
Well,
or do you want to?
The thing that stood out for me was your intense hatred of Guy Fieri.
Yes.
Why? Please elaborate on the story, and then if you want to touch upon Mr. Fieri, please feel free to.
Well, the story was essentially, and one of the things that I love about fan fiction, one of the reasons why I think it's such a great format to do a comedy show like this is You can be a fan of anything. Literally, if you take the name taken very literally is fan fiction. If you're a fan of it, write some fiction about it. And it doesn't need to be movies or TV. It could be, you could write fan fiction about Mount Rushmore if you wanted to. And it doesn't even need to be funny. That's the beauty of it. It's so widespread, it's so all-encompassing, and you can do with it what you will. It's very malleable. And so I chose to do the Gordon Ramsay show Kitchen Nightmares, which is a show that I actually like. I love food shows. And then I decided to incorporate, and I didn't go into it with the intention, but as I wrote it, I realized that I needed kind of a villain of the piece, and chose my least favorite food show personality, Guy Fieri, who really...
Oh, that's how you pronounce his last name. Whoops.
I think it's just Fieri, yeah. But it really is just that he represents the style of person that I find the most distasteful. Frosty-haired, Nickelback listening, bro, and saying the word bro unironically. I find him to be very distasteful.
Hey folks, you might be wondering why all of a sudden the interview has stopped and you're just staring at me, looking back at you. Well, unfortunately, during the interview, Joe's cat, of all things, decided to come onto the table. And if it would just stayed on the table, we would have kept recording. But no, this thing decided to jump directly at the camera. Even at a house, I can't catch a break. So, go figure. But, enjoy the rest of the interview. Take it easy.
Where are the fan fiction events taking place?
We actually found a home theater. The first event we did was at the Wealthy Street Theater.
Okay.
A little over a year and a half ago. I made the mistake of scheduling it in January. It was sort of my birthday present to myself. And there was a huge blizzard the night of the show. So attendance was, needless to say, a little bit low.
Just the performers and select members of the audience?
There was about 30 people there.
That's a good turnout.
That was a pretty good turnout. I mean, out of a 400-seat theater, though, it definitely looked pretty empty.
Yeah.
Because we rented the big theater. And then we played Dog Story, but recently I got into touch with Ambrosia Theater, which is right, if you know where Marika Trebes is, over in Easttown, right on Lake Drive and nearing downtown Grand Rapids. It's a wonderful theater. Sarah, the woman that owns it, is a fantastic person, and you know, we clicked right away, and she loved the idea for the shows, and I love the theater space. Is gorgeous there. She runs Belly Dance Grand Rapids out of it, which is a great organization, and so I'm pretty sure Ambrosia Theater is going to be the new home theater for all the Nerdaissance live events.
Fair enough. How many events do you have lined up?
Right now, we have the May 29th fan fiction show, and we have a show on June 19th, which we're stepping out of the fan fiction realm to go into. We're doing original works of comedic fantasy adventure.
Okay.
So encompassing fantasy adventure and science fiction. I'll give you a little teaser for mine just to give you an idea of what that means. I'm writing essentially a circa 1990s WB teen drama, like a Dawson's Creek, but set in like a brutal Conan the Barbarian kind of landscape. It's about a young teenage barbarian who's like super sensitive, and he goes through all the 90s teen drama stuff.
Is he coming to terms?
Yes, exactly.
That's coming of age story.
Yes, it's coming of age for a Conan-esque kind of character.
Now, if people who actually attend these events afterwards come away inspired and they want to actually contribute to the next show, how do they go about doing that?
Well, you can reach me. Well, first of all, if you do come to the show and you like it, feel free to walk up to me and tell me. I absolutely love talking to and meeting new people at these shows, you know, that have loved it. There's nothing more fulfilling to me than somebody that I don't even know coming up to me and going, hey, like you did, coming up to me and saying, hey, I loved that show. That was really funny. That's the whole reason why I do it. So if you want to do it, if you come to the show and you like it and you want to do it, walk up and talk to me after the show, or you can simply reach me on Facebook at Joe Harvey, or Joseph Harvey, sorry, or you can reach me at joeharvey125@yahoo.com.
Fair enough. And for a little bit of a bonus on this, granted, yes, we had been talking about the Nerdaissance fan fiction. Joe Harvey here is involved in an upcoming convention, a video game convention,
Yes,
called Great Bit Live. Would you care to elaborate on that a little bit?
Certainly. This year is probably the most exciting year yet.
Oh, yeah.
The first 2 years we held the event at the Pyramid Scheme, downtown Grand Rapids, which is a fantastic music venue.
Oh, yes.
And was very gracious in hosting us for those first couple years. We aimed really big this third year. We started a Kickstarter, and we got enough money, and we have rented out DeVos Place in downtown Grand Rapids, the biggest, sort of convention venue in Grand Rapids. We've got tons of music acts, including Playing with Power, who are sort of the founders of the feast. Mark from Playing with Power, this is his, he's the king of the castle there, and his heart is huge and in the right place, and it's believe me, nobody profits from this. This is 100% for charity. But we've got Night of the Round, we've got Arc Impulse, Gimmick, Super Guitar Bros out of Detroit, Mail Order Monsters.
My parents' favorite music. We're going to have a Smash Brothers tournament, or Smash Bros tournament, sorry. I know a lot of people get a little persnickety about that. We're going to have an Amiibo tournament, which I'm an older nerd, so I had no idea what Amiibo even was. Yeah, I've been finding that out.
But I found out, and it sounds cool. It sounds like something kids would really get into. And there's one sort of cool thing that we're just formulating now for it that I can't really tell you about, but there might be something pretty darn cool coming down the pipeline for Great Bit Live. So it's going to be a whole day of music, and we'll have vendor tables there selling merchandise. There will be, like I said, video game tournaments. It's going to be a great day, and hopefully we'll raise a lot of money to buy new and used video game equipment for the kids at the DeVos Children's Hospital.
And that is on July 11th?
That is on July 11th.
Folks.
Free admission, by the way.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason why we raised that money to get that venue, was so that admission is free.
This is just a little precursor to an upcoming interview down the road. We'll be doing a more extensive interview about Great Bit Live, but I just wanted to put this out there, and that's something to look forward to. Well, Joe, I would like to thank you for granting me this interview.
Thank you, sir.
Folks, this is Joe and from MIGeekScene and Joe Harvey, 2 Joes, 1 table. Take it easy.
See ya.